And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Another day of quarantine. And today I have Jill with me as we're continuing this series of surviving quarantine by spreading life and giving life giving advice during this time that is so needed more than ever. And so to get started, I will have Jill, if you'll introduce yourself.
Sure, I'd love to. So I'm Jill Hunter, and I spent the first 25 years of my career working as a pharmacist. I worked retail pharmacy, I worked long-term care, and even worked a 503B manufacturing facility making IVs. And so I understand that what it's like to be on the front lines of the pandemic, like a lot of you know someone who is, and how we're all stuck in our houses right now because of it. But what I noticed when I worked at all these different pharmacies was there was something consistent between pharmacy to pharmacy. And when I talked to the nurses in healthcare, they said the same thing happens there. Talked to doctors, and they said the same thing is happening there. And doctors, nurses, pharmacists are extremely compassionate and empathetic with their patients. And believe me, they're doing that right now. And one thing they don't do is be empathetic and compassionate with their employees and their staff. And so that's why I founded Up Level to Lead, because I want to change that trend.
Awesome. And that's the thing that's something right now is that the empathy and care for one another, especially in the spaces that we are in, where now work, if they're in the healthcare, well, it still impacts healthcare too, because now they're separated from their spouses, and they may have to go into quarantine themselves, or I know some works, they're going for 14 days, having to stay, some of the utility industries, they're having to stay for 14 days. And so in this space of time, if you can talk about your bringing care to this climate. So, and I know that CARE is an acronym for you. So if you like, I know I have banners that we can pop as we go.
Okay, so the C is for communication. And when I first developed this, I was thinking about communicating from a manager to their staff and their team and trying to keep them motivated. And then I realized as this all happened, it still applies. And so that's what I want to try and do is turn this around and show you how this can work for you today. Is if you communicate with your family and you want to be open and honest and from the heart. And I know you're not used to doing that. You're used to saying, hi, how you doing? And that's it. And right now, our worlds have been turned upside down. And we need to connect with people and be compassionate with those that we are connected with. So anyone that's living in the house with you, I think you should, on a daily basis, ask them how they're doing. And you want to go in and say, how are you doing? Not how's your project coming, how's work going? You want to ask them how they are, because that's what really matters. And if you are managing a team remotely right now, by all means, you should be checking in with each and every team member that you have every day, because every day is going to be a different battle to fight. And you need to be there to really support them through this.
Amen to that one. And I think that too, the thing that I talk a lot about with communication is that it's clear expectations. And in those clear expectations that we need to have at this time that, hey, we need to have, like you said, the check-ins. And how can we have those check-ins? Because I had the clear expectation that my husband, after he's been at work, he's been gone, that now I've been stuck with my kids, which I love, and they're amazing. My kids are actually really, really great kids. So I had the expectation that he was supposed to talk to me and like have conversations, and I'm going to ask you, how's your day and all this stuff. And he's just like, I'm tired of talking. I'm going to bed. Or like, I'm going to go sit. Like he just wants to not think. I'm like, whoa. Especially during this space and time. And I think it's good to have those, we call them hot conversations, so humble, open, and transparent during the time that is needed the most. So then we'll go to our next one. I know that you have the A.
Yes. So the A is for audible and listening. So I want you to listen more than you talk, especially when it's a manager, when you're not at the same peer level. So parent to child, or boss to subordinate, or subordinate to boss, whichever direction it's going. So you want to ask a question, like I was suggesting earlier, how are you doing today? And then once you ask the question, shut up, close the mouth, and just wait for that person to stop talking. Don't get anxious and start, lean in, be appreciative, make it sound like you're actually listening. And then when they're done talking, then what you need to do is actually summarize what they said. To say, I heard you say, or, I think this is what I heard, or can you clarify this part? Because I want to understand it better. We are not here to solve their problems. We are not here to dismiss or minimize what they're saying, because whatever someone is feeling in this environment right now is real. And you can't say, oh, don't worry about that. That's not going to happen, because we don't know. None of us can predict the future. And if we do that to our partners, they're going to be distanced from us. And that's not what we want. We want to be connected and closer right now.
Yes. It makes me think of two things. I wrote an article about this, is that, especially with a spouse, creating the space of whenever it's their time, like their time to talk, and making sure that you, like, I know as a woman, it's like, I just want to like lay it all out. Let's just talk it out. But that's not how my spouse listens. And so in getting into the part that the listening and telling him, whenever I want to spew things, I don't want you to do anything with it, because men are also fixers, or my spouse, he's a fixer. He wants to fix things and fix the problem and save the princess, is what we say. And in this space, it's no needing saving. I just need you to listen. And I think that that's so true. And then also thinking back on the child, how are they feeling right now, and being able to let them express their emotions, especially if they're acting out. It's 9 times out of 10, it's always, even at work, if people are acting out, they're doing it usually for a reason. What's the reason, and are we looking into it? So love that. Yeah.
Oops, took the reassure away. So you want to reassure every person, especially right now, if it's a work relationship, that they're an important asset of the team. A lot of people are feeling very unsure if their job's going away. They don't know whether the work they're doing is valued or needed. They really want to know if they're going to have a job and a paycheck. And if you can tell them that, then please do, because that's the one thing that everyone's worried about right now. But when you think about it with coworkers, if you're peer to peer, then you want to reassure them that I've got your back. You're going to go do this task, and if you can't finish everything else on your plate for the afternoon, I'll step in and help you, because we're all in this together. So you want to make sure that they understand that they've got help from you. And then in the family, you want to make sure that they know that they're loved. So just the reassurance. Sometimes some people's love language is hugging and touching, and you want to hug each other and touch each other every day. And other people, you want to tell them they love you, and you want to try and make sure that they know that they're loved and needed and wanted, because that's a basic human need.
I love it. And that's something too, is that reassurance too, because of the safety. I talked about serotonin. That's actually 90% of it's in our gut, and that's our safety cop of the body. And right now, that is needed to be reassured that we are safe, that we're cared for, that we're not going to be eaten by the big monster right now. So we have to make sure that we put people in environments that can reassure this feeling. So I agree. And then the final one is the E.
Yes. So E is for empathy, for compassion. If I made this first as thinking of people at work, trying to get managers and supervisors to let their staff know that they are humans first and employees second. And it's okay to be human. And I think this message is finally getting through, because now it's okay to call in and say, I have a fever, I'm going to stay home. And your boss doesn't hassle you anymore. So I think this is finally taking effect. I love it. But then as far as those in your family, you want to show compassion for them and make sure everyone is being thrust into roles they're not used to. Most people, if they have children, are used to Monday through Friday dropping the kids off at a daycare and not actually caring for them while they work. And now that isn't happening. So they're trying to figure out, wait a minute, I have to do like kid meals, like, and work and figure this out. And then there's other people trying to figure out, going to the grocery store is not as simple as it used to be. You used to be able to run out whenever you wanted and get everything you needed. And sometimes now it's requiring multiple trips. So just the day-to-day life is broken up. And everyone's trying really hard to do everything. And there's going to be breaking points, and everyone's going to have a different breakdown, probably at least once a week at this point. And we need to be compassionate when it happens and say, it's okay. If it's a family member, I still love you. And if it's a coworker that's struggling, or a boss, or someone else that you work with, ask how you can help. They're going to look at you like you're crazy because you'll be like this, so distance. But just asking, how can I help you? It is going to make them feel better. It lets them know that you care.
Well, I think one of my favorite things about this time in this space is that the okayness with asking for help, that people are coming with, that it's okay to be human, that people are kind of getting taken off their little pedestals and having to be put to reality that, hey, we're just going to give grace, we're going to care, and we're going to love on each other because we all need it. We may not all be in the same boat together, but we're all in a same storm. And it like some people are in kayaks while other ones are in yachts, we're all have our different perceptions of this, but we're all dealing with it. And I want to throw up a comment that Maria put. She put, amen. Yes, I wish employers, leaders would see this. We are humans, not robots. And I'm speaking out of love. Amen. And that's the thing that I would say is, that's the reason why WorkSpeak is even called what WorkSpeak is because I felt like I came from where everybody was a human worker and it was all about productivity. And we talked about this, especially in the healthcare setting, about productivity. And it's like, what about the human, and it's WorkSpeak, and it's taking people from being human workers to human beings, because we have brains, and using our full brains, which we're the only species that can make and create and do the things that we do. And I think it's a lot comparative to like your care model, is that we have to be able to give that care and that love and that humanistic features to the work, because it's being seen right now more than ever. If we don't, we will fail, because, and I think it's common sense, because look at what's your biggest cost as a business owner? It's your people, that's your biggest cost. And so for employees and for employers, for them to see that aspect. And then also, even if you don't have a cost, what's the cost on the relationship with your family during this time? If it's not work related, you are in essence an employer of your family, especially if you're a parent. So how are you leading the group? And so that's my question for you, Jill, is what can people do to take practical ways to implement caring and loving on people in this space?
So I think everyone needs to stop worrying about themselves and try and figure out they need to take care of themselves and step up and exercise and do something healthy for them each day to try and keep them healthy. But then they also need to really focus on communicating. So sometimes if you just start the communication by sharing something about yourself and what happened in the day, it can spark a conversation. And telling someone that by reassuring them that they are loved, and maybe you'll get that I love you back. You don't need it, because just the act of giving that is going to fill you up. So one of the other things you need to do each day is, you're going to be, the more stressed we are, the faster our cup gets depleted each day, and you need to fill it back up each night and recharge. So how are you going to do that? And by giving. So giving reassurance, by communicating, by listening, and then doing the empathy piece, and letting people be humans. That should help fill your cup up each day.
I agree. So if anybody has any additional comments, please feel free to put them in wherever you're watching at, put in the comments below. But I just want to also take this moment and say thank you, Jill, for being willing to speak with us about how you're modeling caring, and both of our backgrounds in healthcare, and how it's something that you're fighting this battle. Because from my experience, that we had a great compassion model, like caring, but the thing that seemed to have killed it a little bit was a lot with the productivity, what's the numbers, and that's what you talked a lot about, is it's all about how many prescriptions am I filling, how many things am I doing in the day, comparative to like how am I contributing back to the greater good. And so I think that is something that I love the work that you're doing, because it's about the people aspect of it. And whenever you focus on the people, we know that in the end it will make the difference.
Yes, definitely. Awesome. So I watched yesterday's session, and I realized that you guys closed with a quote. So I did find a quote that kind of sums up everything. So I wanted to share that. So, caring can be learned by all human beings, can be worked into the design of every life, meeting an individual need as well as a pervasive need in society. And that was by Mary Catherine Bateson. She was a cultural anthropologist, a professor at George Mason University. And so I thought that kind of gave a nice summary to everything that we we're talking about.
It does. It so does. And I think that's a great way to end it. I appreciate so much of your time, Jill, and I thank you for all that joined us to watch today. As always, continue to come back tomorrow. We will have Dr. Dominique Simmons. She will be back, and she's talking about finding your why. And then on Thursday, we are going to have one of my good friends, Darren, who works with Columbia and their organizational development aspects of it. He's awesome, and he's got an awesome mustache, so everybody can just tune in for his awesome mustache. But he will be on live then. So I look forward to seeing you all. Have an awesome and blessed day.